Hi, I'm Madame Pamita, and this is Madame Pamita's Parlor of Wonders. You can find me online at parlorofwonders.com. Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you a lover's passion candle spell. When do we use a lover's passion candle spell? Well, we might use it for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's about a lover. You're not going to be using this on a friend or a family member, we hope, or anything like that. You're going to be using this on a lover. And usually this is a situation where you want to increase the passion, either because you once had passion and it's kind of died down to humdrum levels and you want to bring it back again, or maybe you have been, sort of hovering around that friend zone and you want to turn this into a really hot romance. So that's what a lover's passion spell is for. All right, so what we're going to need for this spell are a couple of things. We're going to need a lover's passion candle, and this is a candle showing a couple embracing very sensuously, very passionately embracing. You can choose this candle in really any number of colors, but red is our color for just hot passion. If you want to bring a little sort of romantic element to this, you could use a pink candle, or if you wanted to reconcile in a passionate way, you might use a blue candle. If you wanted to open up a stuck situation, you might use an orange one, and so on. So there's definitely different colors you can use, but if we look at our primary main passion color, we're looking at the color red. So in our example here, we're going to be using a red candle. The other thing you're going to be needing for this spell is a personal concern. If you don't know what a personal concern is, I recommend you go to my site, Parlor of Wonders, go look under instruction, go look at the how-to guides, and under how-to guides, you'll see a personal concerns how-to guide, which will talk to you about personal concerns. Personal concerns are something that connect that person to you. It's something off of their body or something that they have touched. So if we're doing a spell for a very intimate relationship, like a passionate sexual relationship, then you're going to want a pretty intimate personal concern. That means that a photograph is not really intimate enough. A signature is not really intimate enough. Something that they touch, not good enough. We want something that really has some of their DNA on it. So the classic example, of course, is a piece of your lover or potential lover's hair. So in our example, we're going to be using 2 pieces of hair because we're bringing 2 people together. One hair from one person, another hair from the object of your affection. So your hair and the other person's hair. But you could certainly use other very strong personal concerns. Sweat, for example, or bodily fluids, or fingernail clipping. All of those are very, very close. They have the DNA of the person on them. And so those are very strong personal concerns. But our classic one is a piece of hair. So we're going to use a piece of hair in our example. We're also going to use some herbs. We're also going to use a small petition paper here. We're going to use some herbs, juniper berries, hibiscus flower, catnip, Damiana, coriander seed. We're also going to be using something called magnetic sand, which is used in attraction spells. That's iron filings that we use with lodestones, but we can also use them in attraction spells. And we're also going to be using fire of love oil. You could use kiss me now oil, fast luck oil, fire of love oil. All of those are increasing the passion in a relationship. So any of those will work, but we're going to use fire of love in our example today. Now what we're going to do is we are going to do something that I've introduced in another video, which is called loading a candle. It's a different way of working with herbs and personal concerns and petition papers. It's a way of working kind of a little bit secretly, but it's also a sort of way of infusing that candle with the energy of what it is that you're wanting. So we're going to actually load this candle today. It's got a nice big round base, a nice big base on it. So it's a great example of a candle that's going to be a good one for loading a candle. So what do I mean by loading a candle? Well, it means cutting out a divot in the candle, cutting out a hole or space, and putting those personal concerns, that petition paper, those herbs and artifacts and so on into the candle, and then sealing it up again, okay? So what you're gonna use is a very sharp knife. You need to have a sharp knife to cut out that divot. So in our example, I think because I'm right-handed, it's gonna have to go this way. I'm cutting out pieces of wax, right? Now, as I cut out those pieces of wax, I'm going to reserve those pieces of wax because we're going to use them a little bit later. But I'm going to work to cut out a nice hole that we're going to secretly load up. That's why it's called loading a candle. Load it up with herbs, oils, personal concerns, and so forth. So I'm digging that space, making it nice and big, carefully doing it because I don't want to break my candle. But again, if you have a candle with a smaller base, this is not a good idea because it's very easy to break that candle if you do that. But a candle with a good, strong base like this one is a great one for loading. So cutting out space, making room for all our herbs and our petition paper, making a nice big hole in there. Okay, and we're saving all the pieces of wax. So there we have our hole that we're going to use to load our candle. Once we've made that hole, we're now ready to load our candle. So what we're going to use is a tiny bit of each of these herbs. We're also going to add our personal concerns, and we're also going to add our petition paper. So let's start with our petition paper. Let me set the candle down for a second. Our petition paper, we're not going to use a big piece of paper for our petition because we've got to fit it in that little tiny hole. So we're going to use a little tiny piece of paper for our petition, right? In this case, I used a special piece of origami paper in red and pink because I want that passion, that love. I want to give a little extra oomph. I'm going to use that opportunity to add a little color to this. So I'm going to use that origami paper. So on this petition paper, you could write, for example, that John Smith falls madly in love with me. Or you could just simply say, John loves Mary if your name is Mary, or Mary loves John if your name is John. So I'm just going to do that very simple one and write John loves Mary, and that's my petition paper. Very simple, very straightforward, but it connects, it's one way of connecting this candle to two particular people. You could do it other ways. You could inscribe on the outside of the candle, but we're doing this very secretive loading the candle work, so we're not going to put a loose petition paper underneath it. We're not going to inscribe all over the candle with the people's names. We're going to write it on this little secret paper. So I'm going to roll that paper toward me. Roll, 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 make it nice and small. And you'll see how tiny it gets. So now we have our little petition paper and we rolled it toward us because we want to bring that thing to us. We want, my name is Mary, I want John to love me, so I'm rolling it toward me. And then we end up with this little tiny, 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 tiny petition paper that we can easily put into that hole there, right? Lots of room for more stuff to go in. So let's add our other things. So when we're doing a loading, we don't want to use tons of herbs. We don't want to use tons of things because we don't have room for tons of things. So we're just going to use one little tiny bit of every herb. So I'm going to pick the smallest juniper berry I can find. Juniper berries are for sexual attraction, but I'm just love, passion, real like sexy hot romance. So I'm going to put that one little berry in there and I'm really going to squish it in. Same thing with the hibiscus flower. Going to get the tiniest little bit of hibiscus flower, just a teeny tiny one, and put that in there. There we got one little tiny bit of hibiscus, and I'm going to put that in there. Same thing with my next herb, catnip. Just a little tiny pinch of catnip. We don't need a whole bunch. Of course, like our other candle spells, we could put, oil on the outside and dress our candle in oil. But in our example today, we are loading a candle. So we're going to put all of these. Now I've got a little Damiana, again, for more passion. Again, adding that inside. And lastly, of our herbs, I'm going to put one little coriander seed. So we're not picking, again, our choices here are all herbs about passion, and there's plenty of herbs about passion and sexuality and increasing that kind of energy, but we're picking small ones and ones that we can easily fit in our inside of our candle. We don't want to have to dig a whole giant hole. Next, we're going to put our curio, which is magnetic sand. So get into this bag of magnetic sand here and take a little pinch of that and add that. Just the smallest little pinch of magnetic sand. Just the smallest pinch of magnetic sand, and we're going to add that there. And finally, we're going to add those pieces of hair. So very carefully picking up those pieces of hair, adding them to the divot there. Okay, now we've got everything in there. Now we have to close up that hole. So we're going to take those pieces of wax that we saved from before and press them in. And then finally, we're going to seal that up in just a second. So we're pressing that down, filling up that hole, closing off that hole that we made. And now we're going to light a match with these beeswax candles that we make here at Parlor of Wonders. It's nice, soft, sticky wax, so it's very easy to heat that up. Get that nice and soft. Get that wax nice and soft and melted. And then we're going to use our knife to just smooth it down, press it down. There, make that flat. And seal up that hole. Make that nice and flat. Now we have a little bit of extra wax left over. You can use that to you can watch one of my other videos on what to do with your excess wax or your leftover wax in any spell and use that to make some kind of talisman of some kind. But now we have our loaded candle. It looks just like it did before. No one would even know. All that petition paper, those herbs, those minerals, all of that stuff is in there. It's all very, very secret. We're going to dress that candle finally with Fire of Love oil. We're going to put a few drops in our hands. And we're going to apply that in an upward motion from the base toward the wick. Really saying our words of love, that John falls madly in love with me, Mary, that he is passionate about me, that the passion returns, whatever it is that I'm wanting. I can say that as I'm applying this oil. Again, applying in an upward motion. You can say those words of intention then. And you can continue to speak your words of intention as you light your candle for your outcome. Let's clean it up a little bit. Of course, you could, if you wanted to be a little more elaborate or you didn't want to be quite so sneaky, you could put the herbs around, sprinkle them on top and so on. But we're doing a little bit of a kind of a bit of a sneaky spell that people may not know is a magic spell because they don't know that there's herbs and so on going on inside of it. So we light our candle with our intention. May John fall passionately, madly in love with me. May the passion and sexual attraction be undeniable. The chemistry between us be really high and strong, and the fire of love burn strong between us. Something like that. There you go. So you light that candle and you let that candle burn completely. Of course, this is a pretty big candle, so if you go to sleep or you leave the house, you want to snuff that candle out, don't blow it out, and then relight it again with your petition when you come back, when you wake up again. So there you have it, a beautiful lover's passion candle loaded with super magical herbs for passion and love and romance and chemistry and all that good stuff. So I thank you so much for joining me here today. I am Madame Pamita. You can find this, you can find all of these things that we used, and you can find me online at parlorofwonders.com.